Everybody worries about this, right? Oh, what about protein? You're burning your muscle, right? So this is a study by Kevin Hall from the NIH. And he basically looked what happens during fasting. And this is what happens, right? So for the first couple of days of fasting, what you see is that carbohydrate oxidation goes up. It goes way up, right? In other words, you're burning sugar. You can see that fat doesn't actually move for a couple of days. You're not burning a hell of a lot of fat, right? And then as you run out of the glycogen, remember that the glycogen is your easily accessed energy, but limited in terms of how much you can store. Once it all burns out, then look, fat oxidation goes up. Now you're burning fat for energy. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. But what happened to protein? Are you burning muscle? Hell no. It goes up slightly, okay, at the very beginning, then drops. So protein is not a storage form of energy. Why would your body burn it for energy, right? You hear this argument all the time. You're going to burn muscle, right? So it's ridiculous, right? Because you're telling me that the way we're designed is to store energy as fat, but when the chips are down, we'll burn muscle, right? Okay, like I don't think so, right? It's like if you have a wood-burning stove, you store firewood, right? Because you're going to burn it. But when the chips are down, you don't go chop up your sofa and throw it into the fire, right? It's crazy. The other thing that's ridiculous is that if you have repeated fast famine cycles, like cavemen might have had, for instance, so you store fat, burn muscle, right? So at the end of a few of these cycles, you're like one giant ball of 100% fat, right? It's like that's what happens to the bears, right? It's like, come on. Don't be ridiculous. You don't burn muscle. Protein, yes, you do need a certain amount of protein to maintain your lean protein, right? But it's not increased. That's my point. It's not that it's zero. There is some, right? But it's not increased in response to fasting. So the reason that I talk about fasting and low carbohydrate diets is that what it does very effectively, and probably more effectively than any other intervention, is it empties out that fridge, right? And remember, what you want to do is get rid of all that insulin too, right? Because now, if you don't have insulin telling your body to shunt all that energy into fat, now you can start to move your calories out this way, right? If you have a lot of insulin, so we do this, for example, if we give people exogenous insulin, they can't lose weight, right? Even if they fast, it's very hard because they can't access that fat. They just keep reducing their calorie expenditure. But the whole point is that fasting provides the easiest way. You get rid of all that glycogen, you get your insulin down so you can actually access your body fat, and there. And the whole thing is that why can't you fast, right? You know, I asked my son one time, a few years ago, you know, how do you lose weight? He goes, he was 6 or 7 at the time, and he goes, just don't eat. So easy, right? It's like, oh, how can you be so right about this point that has escaped like 99% of the world's doctors and dietitians, right? If you don't eat, you're going to lose weight. And here's the thing to understand. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the way we're built, right? That's the way lions are built. That's the way tigers are built. That's the way bears are built. That's the way we're built. We're built to withstand these repeated episodes where there's no food, right? Because back in the caveman days, there's no McDonald's, there's no refrigerator, there's nothing. There are times you're going to have nothing. That's why you have fat, right? That's the whole point. So one of the most ironic